Welcome to the sofa. I'm Sherry.
I'm Bonnie, and this is the Sisters Hallmark Sip and Chat podcast.
We're a couple of crown heads who love all things Hallmark.
Welcome back to the sofa, everyone, for week 2 of Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas on the W channel. In this episode, we'll be sipping Cherry Christmas Cocktail and chatting about the 3 movies Happy Holidays from Cherry Lane, Merry Christmas Ted Cooper, and Deck the Halls on Cherry Lane.
Movie number 1, Happy Holidays from Cherry Lane, starring Benjamin Ayres as Eli, Catherine Bell as Regina, James Denton as Nelson, Erica Durrance as Penny, Julie Gonzalo as Jessie, Ryan Rotman as Tim. In this installment of the Cherry Lane movies, the focus is on grief and how beautiful life can be when you open your wounded heart to new possibilities. Let's find out how this movie rated on our sofa rating system. But first, a quick explanation. Our custom sofa rating system includes a list of 20 Hallmark tropes broken down into 10 categories that will determine how Hallmark is this movie. You can download the list from our website and social pages. This movie earned 12 out of 20 sofas, and the categories are Here Comes the Bride, Location, 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 Family and Friends, Unexpected Hiccups, Affairs of the Heart, Christmas Magic.
I'm loving the Good Witch reunion with Catherine Bell and James Denton. Super happy about that. And I just love the whole idea of them together as a couple in this, even though it's so different from that. And the idea that he was like they joked about him being a plumber, and that's sort of a nod, I think, to his Wisteria Lane, the Desperate Housewives thing, because he was a plumber there, though he's an electrician, I think, on this one. But it is super cute. Did clock that in the house, in the modern one anyway, had the same cabinet I have in my house. That was just really cool. I don't know. It's sort of a random one. I love it. And the other thing I really thought was cute in this one I'd never seen before is they do, instead of rock, paper, scissors, they do reindeer, Santa, elf. And I love that. Reindeer, Santa, elf. I absolutely love that. From now on, that's how I'm doing rock, paper, scissors.
And you know what? That is a great catch because I did forget about that. However, I still don't understand which one wins. Who wins what?
Well, I think it goes, I could be wrong, but Santa is over the elf. Elf can fly on the reindeer, but reindeer take Santa. So reindeer's over Santa, Santa's over elf, and elf is over reindeer. I think
There we
that's how it goes. I
Okay.
could make that up totally, but it sounds good to me. And when I play, that's how I'm doing it.
Sounds good. Okay, first of all, I have to mention how they ended this particular episode with the traditional Hallmark kiss from each individual timeline. Outside the door, by the address. It was very, very much in itself a Hallmark trope. So that was good.
Yeah.
The second thing I noticed is that I even went back to check that I didn't miss it. That Daisy was not in the family section of Regina and Nelson at all. She's typically a constant that keeps all the family's timelines in place. You can tell with her aging where we're at, and she wasn't in it at all. So that was different.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm not sure why they did that particular way, but yeah, I noticed that as well. One thing I liked about this particular movie is Jessie, who is the amazing elder sister, like I have an amazing one, hosting her sister's wedding at her house. We know how special it is to have a close enough relationship to step up and do that for each other. I know it means a great deal to me, like how doing this podcast together is so special, such an excellent way to, help build our relationship and have fun together.
I totally agree. When you could talk about building relationships together, my husband and I, part of our relationship is watching these movies every week. And him and I were so engaged in this whole timeline stuff that we started to map it all out. And later in the show, when we go back to the next Cherry Lane finale, I'll share some of our findings.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. One of the, of course, the main aspect they talk about in this particular movie is grief. And really, grief is complicated to navigate no matter when you lose your lost one, who that loved one is. Honestly, it takes patience and courage and just giving yourself the grace to take the time it takes to heal and prepare your heart to move on. We saw that in a couple of the main characters or in the couples in this movie.
I do agree with that. On a lighter note, I did think it was cute that they showed that the pastor was still a little sassy inside as he tried to create a loophole how it was okay to break into the wedding venue. But
Yeah.
my personal pet peeve was that they started looking for a wedding gown in a box when you could clearly see in the caption of the screen that there were garment bags. So that was a little bit of a mishap right there.
That's funny. Sometimes they just dragging it out so they can have the
Yeah.
moment together. And I've always loved the idea of a Christmas wedding with tons of glittering Christmas trees and festive food and the scents and that white faux fur stole, which she had. I always wanted, and I'm like, see, they know it. It's chef's kiss to me. It's a lot to put on, on that time of year when there's already so much going on, especially with the family pressures. But honestly, I'm totally up for it.
I agree with you. Of course, a Christmas wedding is something everyone loves. Well, anyone can get behind it except Scrooge, I guess. It was absolutely beautiful.
Memories are really a way to keep things we love close and always remembering them. The scene with the father and the son sealing the time capsule really honestly made me tear up. It was just such a beautiful moment, especially after the, struggles and issues they were having earlier. And you just knew one of the other couples was gonna find it. And I was really glad it was Regina and Nelson.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was nice that Regina and Nelson ended up with two clocks. The one they found in the time capsule, which was a wonderful way to preserve a little bit of your family's legacy, and the other from her husband, who was really obviously the dad thing was very important. However, when we checked the first movie from last year, we noticed that the new clock was there, but the original clock for dad, the important clock, wasn't on the mantle, just a star was there. So that was a missed prop option that was missed from last year's episode. Now, maybe they didn't know that's what they were going to make it to, but inquisitive minds like ours, they wanted to know.
Yes, for sure. That was just a little bit of a hiccup, but I'm sure they would have made up for it. They caught it for this year's. I honestly really enjoyed all three storylines in this particular movie. I think it was an excellent
Mhm.
addition to the series.
I agree.
Movie number two, Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, starring Robert Buckley as Ted and Kimberly Sustad as Hope. Ted Cooper is a weatherman who loves Christmas. Even though he's experienced some crazy mishaps during past Christmases, his optimism and can do attitude finds him back in his hometown of Lackawanna, helping his sister with the gingerbread fundraiser for the Children's Hospital, where he reconnects with his childhood crush, Dr. Hope Miller. They've both been unlucky in love in the past, but maybe this Christmas will bring good luck to both of them. This movie earned 17 out of 20 sofas, and the categories are town holiday celebrations, location, family and friends, unexpected hiccups, affairs of the heart, big life changes, and the bonus charity event, the gingerbread fundraiser for the Lackawanna Children's Hospital.
Okay, I love a movie with some good old humor, and this movie
Mhm.
had tons of it. My favorite part is that at his work, his friends were all making a betting chart of what will happen to him at this Christmas. As things were happening, they all were cheering and splitting the money, and we just couldn't stop laughing. The fact that him being impaled by a deer had better odds than being kissed by a girl on national TV was the most hilarious piece.
100%. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the season, and it did not disappoint. I knew
Agreed.
it would be so funny. The bets, yes, on Ted's quote unquote possible misfortunes were absolutely hilarious. I mean, so funny. Poor guy. Love his optimism, though. I personally like watching the weather on TV, the charts and everything, and I can see how only doing the weather would be limiting for a career, but he really made it work for him.
Absolutely. Of course, with my critical view, though, I did notice that the snow at the tree lot was very fake. But the story was so good, I could overlook it.
I wasn't looking at the snow. I was looking at him wearing that girl's pink sweater, which was so funny. And really, honestly, every time we watch him do anything, we are assuming he's going to get hurt every single time, which did happen some of the time. And for the record, quote unquote, unconscious is not a cat nap. It's unconscious. But it just sets him up for that fortuitous meet cute with the pretty doctor who he had a crush on, when he was a kid. Um, and honestly, when they were in the hospital, just something I clocked and I thought was so cool. The garland on the walls, on the hospital walls, they actually made it look like how a heartbeat goes up and down. It was so cool. I loved that.
Oh, that was a good catch. I didn't notice that. Okay, so let's talk about the costume party. That was an
Mhm.
excellent idea, and I could totally get into that. The thing that I found strange is that the people came through the front door and were entertained within the home, and then others came into a barn in the backyard, but the party ended back in the house again. I love the idea of the party, but I didn't get the scene changes. I may have missed something there. Bonnie, did you notice that?
I did notice it too, and I did think it was a little strange how sometimes it was a door, and then we saw the outside, like the outside pictures showed people going in through a barn door. Didn't really understand that, but I did think it was, it's a bit of a continuity error. Funny that we both clocked that. However, there was a lot of chemistry between these two leads, in my opinion, and it made it so much fun to watch their romance grow. Asking her out with ASL was so sweet. He seemed, in my opinion, to have less mishaps when they were together. And I also just love the close relationship between Coop and his sister Kate.
Absolutely. That was very sweet. And of course, they had the classic misunderstanding with the cell phone. And the best part is that in the movie itself, they recognized it was probably a mishap. So that part was a bit thin since no real issue occurred because of it. However, it was nice that they're able to say it themselves.
It's so funny when the teacher said how couples break up over the quote silly misunderstandings, which of course happens in every single one of these movies. But honestly, would they be as fun if they didn't have them? I mean, we're waiting for them, aren't we? Figuring out how they're actually going to get over it is half the fun of watching the movies, in my opinion. Though she is right, Hope, advocating for yourself isn't an imposition. I mean, that's something she encourages Ted to do. But it's
Right.
not that bad to be optimistic more often than not, in my opinion. The world needs people like that.
I really wish I could be as positive a person as he is all the time. And that was one of the great messages for us all to take from this movie, to be honest. Have that optimism, be that good and kind person. It was a very good messaging.
Agreed. And also, I want to do escape room so bad. And so
They're
I need
so
to find
fun.
someone to go with. That Santa one was so awesome. So much fun. Just like this movie, just so much fun.
Movie number three, Deck the Halls on Cherry Lane, starring John Brotherton as John, Aaron Cahill as Lizzie, Brooke Dorsey as Rebecca, Chelsea Hobbs as Stephanie, Ben Hollingsworth as David, Sam Page as Matt. Times are changing at 7 Cherry Lane, and not everyone is happy about it. But there is much to celebrate as well, including a special musical guest whose annual live Christmas special will direct the course of all three couples' future, even if it takes decades for them to realize it. This movie earned a whopping 19 out of 20 sofas. Great score. And the categories are Here Comes the Bride, Location, 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 Family and Friends, Unexpected Hiccups, Affairs of the Heart, Big Life Changes, Christmas Magic, and the bonus charity event Clothing Drive and anonymous random acts of kindness in the neighborhood.
Seven Cherry Lane is truly a special, might I even say magical place. And I have enjoyed every storyline we've seen over the three movies. But honestly, I believe this one was my favorite.
I think I should start by stating that back and forth is usually something I do not enjoy. But this was so well done that I couldn't help myself but fall in love with all the families and all the storylines involved.
I really enjoyed how they linked the famous crooner Tommy Saunders, who was played by the amazing Canadian jazz artist Matt Dusk, of the 1966 storyline with the 1982 and 2000 storyline. This movie, in my opinion, had the strongest through line of all in the series, and I absolutely loved the Christmas song, and I really want to put that into my Christmas song rotation this year.
So I agree. I want to talk about the show, of course, but from a different perspective. Firstly, how the families intertwined. Second, the major changes with technology and design through the years. And third, clothing and hairstyles. So let's go to number one, how the families intertwined. Lizzie and John in 1981 mentioned that they stayed friends with David and Stephanie after they bought the house from them in 1973, and they had moved to Michigan. So when they're ready to move to Michigan, they already had friends. David and Stephanie hosted the Tom Sawyer Show in David's house in 1966, which was the show that Rebecca and Matt were on with their fathers as children in 1966. Now Rebecca owns the home as of 2000. In this series finale, they kept all three families in one way or another intertwined.
Wow, that is impressive. I'm looking forward to more details coming from you. I did notice right off the bat, of course, never a good idea to keep secrets from your spouse, especially like big ones, like, moving to another state. That's kind of big. This new job, or even having a baby. You're just setting up to hurt someone's feelings. But, that's sort of expected at the beginning of these movies. It was very interesting to see where that went.
Yeah, and the little girl really got on them about it too.
For sure.
Okay, so back to my list. Number two, the major changes with technology and design through the years. The kitchens, okay, I am fascinated because design is my thing. The kitchens through all the years went from light pink to yellow to orange with white inner borders, and then different oaks and woods finishing with the most modern kitchen in 2023 when Michael and Sam did their renovation. Now, the phones, the old phones, and you had mentioned this too, Bonnie, that the dials and the buttons and the rings was so different. Like that was
Hmm.
really interesting. And eventually we did get all the way up to a flip cell phones and then regular cell phones. But even the TV crew in the 1966 TV show, they had very old technology to create their show. Cut out posters in front of his face that they moved away from Tommy Sawyer as he did the thing. That was funny.
Yeah, and the thing is, they were talking about how cutting edge their show was at the time, right? So that made it even funnier. And I totally clocked the old style phones. I still kind of hear them ringing in my ears. But it would be very cool to have a famous TV show tape at my house on Christmas Eve. I think that would be very cool, though I don't think I would lie to get it. But it would stink like to have to work on a Christmas Eve night. It's a little Scroogey. And the worst part would be like, kids missing their parents on the special night. However, in this movie, I love that they made sure that their kids were involved in the show. And so it made it a family event. Even though it was on Christmas Eve, everybody was still together on Christmas Eve.
And that really reminded me of something that my family does. Well, you're my family too. But every Christmas Day, we watch the Disney Christmas, and all those people are giving out
Mhm.
being at home with their families to do the Christmas shows at Disney. And I have seen that many times they show later that they all their families there with them, and so they're not missing it. So it really reminded me of that.
Mhm.
Okay, back to our fact finding of these movies. Number three was clothing and hairstyles because this one was fun. This
Mhm.
was such a pleasure to watch how women's dresses changed over time and the tight up curl hairdos that were fashion, and that it
Mhm.
is slowly became acceptable for women to wear suits, sweatsuits, and so on. Also interesting during the time like it slowly became more acceptable for women to not only have a job, but they were allowed to have full-fledged careers. So there was nothing wrong with having a career, and there was nothing wrong with staying home and raising your children because both are very hard jobs. So that was really interesting to watch.
Excellent. Thank you for all of those detailed, a lot of work you put in. Super
We need a
appreciate
wife.
it. I love it. Um, in the end, I think it was the 1982. Oh no, it was the 2000 timeline. Sorry, with the young gentleman who was the son of the other people, um, out there doing random acts of kindness. And honestly, they tend to be the most memorable since they are so unexpected. But anonymous or not, showing kindness to others should be a priority, especially at Christmas time. Quote unquote, as they say in the movie, the world can use a little more kindness. Okay, so let's talk about our drink. The cherry Christmas mocktail. Okay, so it was sort of like the Shirley Temple in the movie, Jesse's favorite drink from movie number one. Um, and to me, it looked pretty, but it tasted a little less delicious version of cream soda. So not my favorite. Not really for me. How about you, Cher?
However, I enjoyed the fresh cherry taste, and I would love that as a summer drink on the deck as well.
Well, you can get the recipe for this drink in our social posts. Well, fellow Crownheads, we've come to the end of today's chat.
You can find all our episodes on your favorite podcast network
and on our website, sistersipandchat.ca. Subscribe and never miss a chat session.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time.
And we'll save you a seat on the sofa.